right, welcome back. Another episode of Post-Fades Cheesesteaks. This is episode 48. This is a different kind of episode. We're in person. So if you're listening, just know that Tim and I are in the same room looking
We are.
eye to eye together. We're about to do some ballerina dancing. And
It's amazing because your hair looks more voluptuous and more, mesmerizing in person than it did on the Zoom calls.
But so we this episode we're going to talk about the Final Four, and then of course get into the a little bit of the NFL draft, just going back on the trades that were made between Niners and Dolphins, and then Dolphins and Eagles. But first we'll go recap of the Elite Eight real quick. So
if I can actually start,
okay,
I would
go ahead.
So let's go touch base with the logical decision I made in taking you up on your bet of Gonzaga lasting longer than Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan lasted longer than I thought. I'll give you that. But Gonzaga still, as they did today, as they smacked down USC and every other team they've come across, still look like the best team in the country by far. I still think they're going to win the championship. Have you bought onto the bandwagon yet?
I will say, I'm wrong on a couple of things.
Most things.
Just a couple.
Most.
A couple most. But the thing with Gonzaga was I didn't watch, a ton leading up to it. And from what I was hearing is that they just didn't play super elite level talent. So I kind of looked at it as they could definitely get upset. They could definitely get bumped by a team that's not as good as them. But they've, scored 80 points every game.
Yeah,
they're insane.
It's incredible.
And they just thwomped USC.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a game. They were up by 20 the whole time.
Yeah.
It's
amazing. USC was the hot team. Everyone was hopping on that bandwagon, and Gonzaga just went and just took them to school, and it wasn't even close. I think Timmy dropped led the team with 23 or 25, and the man celebrated every point he put up there.
Yeah,
it was just one of those games, never close, never in question. And just almost at points getting, disrespectful with it.
He was flexing a lot. I think I would, now that Michigan's out, my pick was Michigan and Illinois in the championship.
It didn't age well.
Yeah. Well, fun fact, I actually as of Tuesday before the games ended, I was actually in second place in one of my bracket groups, surprisingly, even though I had Illinois and all the other people still had Gonzaga.
Yeah.
But I correctly picked Gonzaga versus USC in the Elite Eight. So
that's cute.
We'll dust off the shoulder.
I don't know.
And USC Oregon, we got dust off the other shoulder.
What are we just bragging about everything now?
But now that I lost Michigan, it's looking a little rough.
Yeah.
So
I got to say, I'm going to stick with Gonzaga. I've been saying they're the best team. They're my bracket pick. But UCLA is I love the UCLA team. Tiger Campbell, Tiger with a Y, is my favorite player in the tournament. He's got the best hair, shortest player in the tournament, and he's got the best name. Tiger with a Y is something that more kids need to adopt.
Tiger Camel, but it's two animals, not two first names. So
yeah, same idea. But no, good team. I mean, they're deep. That Juzang kid from Kentucky is a stud.
They are.
Campbell's playmaker. He lacking in size, he makes up for it in playmaking ability. Really good team. They played two nail blighters now. I don't know if you caught the Alabama game from over the weekend, where the guy drilled the three at the buzzer to put him in overtime. But then even this game, Michigan, it was right down to the wire. So those wins will help the further they go on. They're learning how to win in the gritty moments. So it's impressive.
Yeah, I think Gonzaga is definitely battle hardened by now.
Yeah.
I would say they have a pretty good, so what we got? We got UCLA, Gonzaga, Baylor, and
Houston. Two Texas squads.
Houston, they haven't really dominated anyone. All their games have been relatively close.
Well, they haven't had to play anyone. They've played all double-digit seeds going into it.
That's
their
right,
whole bracket's been upset.
Yeah, but I don't think they go much farther than that. So I would say it's going to be Gonzaga, Baylor, and that was a pretty popular pick before the tournament started. So
they were the two best teams all year until COVID took over Baylor.
Yeah, they are 2-1 seeds. So
yeah, no, I always thought throughout the season, Baylor and Gonzaga looked like a level better than everyone. The COVID thing happened with Baylor, and I think we forgot, and it took them a little bit to get their rhythm back, and the Big Ten came in real strong, and we've seen how that lasted in the tournament. But I'm on this Houston team. I think Houston plays great defense. They're a physical team. I know they haven't really played anyone, but I also think that they're better than than what they've showed so far. I think they've played enough to get by and beat the teams that they're playing, but they're a good team.
Yeah.
They're physical, they're athletic, they're fast, and they got some size and they play defense.
Yeah, it's kind of weird seeing them. And I mean, I remember when I was going to school at Temple, Houston would, whenever I would go to the basketball game, Houston would smack Temple around. But
Yep.
I never really saw them.
UCF was the same thing. Houston come into town and beat us badly.
They're a weird team to be really good at basketball, but they have a hell of a squad, and it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see, if UCLA can pull this upset off again, another upset.
Why not? I mean, I don't know.
I don't think they match up super well against Gonzaga. I don't think it'll be a close game. I think Gonzaga will probably win by 20.
So I would agree with you. So we're in agreement on I love UCLA, but man, I've been hyping up Gonzaga. They've looked like the best team. I have to stick with them. I got Gonzaga over UCLA.
Yeah, I would say Gonzaga versus Baylor, and then I'd probably take Gonzaga as the champions.
You like Baylor? I like Houston. I think Houston's got a little bit of attitude, though. I'm thinking Gonzaga and Houston in the championship. But I will say one thing, and
yeah, but then you have West Virginia over Houston, like
relax.
way back in the bracket.
We're looking forward, not past. Relax, there, guy.
Okay,
Mr. Illinois. I do think it's interesting because this is one thing I don't know if you've heard about it, but this is something I didn't even know about until the tournament was going on and they were hyping up Baylor. It's the scandal they had back in like 2003 or whatever it is.
2003.
Yeah, this is aged well, but you read the story and everything. It's like something out of a crime scene documentary or something. They had a teammate murder his teammate. The dude was murdered, and that murder actually just triggered a whole bunch of investigations. And then they found out that the coach was paying a whole bunch of different players, covering up drug tests and all this stuff. So the Baylor whole basketball program was just, punched in the face. Let's put it that way, with sanctions, bans, scholarship restrictions. I actually believe Scott Drew, the current coach, was the coach that took over after the scandal. So if there's one man celebrating heavy after this weekend, it's Scott Drew. The man's been through. He was at the bottom, and now he brought them back up to the top. I mean, it's the first Final Four they've been in, I think, 40 years, they said, 50 years.
Damn.
But, yeah, a scandal I never even heard about. You would think that teammate murdering someone you would catch on to. But, once they bring the success, everyone kept on mentioning it. And I was curious and looked into it. Had no idea.
I don't think I've ever heard of that. I mean, weird shit happens in Texas, so.
That's true.
And Baylor's in Texas, so.
You got to look into it. It was an unfortunate string of events.
Yeah, murdering definitely is not normal, so. Well, I'm in U.S. Apparently, it is. But.
I mean, that was just the beginning. I thought it was cute because I was reading it. And it was like after one of the teammates murdered the other guy, then they add on all these you paid players, you were coming on drug tests. Like, do we just forget the murder part? Like, can we just ignore the fact that he was paying players? Like, what about the fact that his team's murdering each other?
I probably have heard of that. I just off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact details, but
it's a good story though. It's a good reclamation project. I do believe it was Scott Drew that took over right after that scandal. So it's a nice little tip of the cap to him. He took them from the lowest of lows to the highest now in the Final Four.
So what did they have? They must have had a ban for a while then.
Yeah, they had
remember when Penn State had that thing with Sandusky? The bowl ban and stuff.
I mean, I don't. The murder really didn't have anything to do with school. They're not going to take away scholarships and sanctions for that.
But if the coach is covering.
Well, that's what it opened up the Pandora's box, and then that's when they found out a whole bunch of other stuff. So.
Door to Narnia.
Yeah, no, it's a good little, it's an interesting story to read about that I had no idea about until Baylor started seeing success this year, and it's interesting. You want to talk about the lowest of lows. That's building a program right there. It's very impressive.
Jesus.
And I don't know, man, it's crazy because when they were talking about, they mentioned the scandal, I was like, I thought they just meant the football team scandal. They had a big scandal a couple of years ago where Art Browse was covering up a whole bunch of bad things their football players were doing. And then, this school just, I don't know what goes on in Waco, but apparently it's the Wild West out there.
This is what happens when players or teams have success and they're in the media. People bring up the negative shit because someone's always got to be negative about something. So
hey, it's interesting though. It makes the story better. It makes
if they go to the championship and win, then this story will definitely be if I didn't hear about it yet, I'm sure I'll hear about it if they win. So
hey, listen, the lows are a lot more entertaining when you reach the highs.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. You keep bringing them with the lows and they don't never reach the highs. You're just kind of kicking a man while he's down. But the program really soared after that. So good for them. Good for Scott Drew. I do believe he was the coach there, and he still is now. So you can talk about a guy that dug in at the lowest and built him up. Very impressive. But
give him his creds.
So I'm going Houston and Gonzaga. Obviously, I've been on Gonzaga the whole time, so I'm not going to back off now. They're winning for me. Okay. So you got Baylor and Gonzaga. Who's cutting the nets?
I'm not gonna go against Gonzaga now. I mean, I thought they would make it this far and then lose in the Final Four to Michigan. Obviously, Michigan won't be there.
It's a shame. So close.
And
so
and
close.
they I was kind of disappointed. They didn't play super well at the end. Missing shots. That terrible transition of shooting an air ball for a 3 to take the lead with 6 seconds left, and then missing the putback, and then getting lucky that someone, they got the fouls back, and then were able to shoot again. But they just had so many. They they just shot themselves in the foot. I've seen that so many times in this tournament. So many teams it's because they're still kids.
Yeah.
They're college students who make mistakes, and a large portion of them aren't going to be playing at the professional level or overseas or anything like that. So these are mistakes that you'll see because it's so common when there's 64 teams. But
yeah,
it's a shame to see it at the Elite Eight level that there's a failure to score baskets in pivotal moments.
Say what you will. I agree. Michigan did not play a great offensive game. Defensively, I thought they played really well. It was a low-scoring game.
It was low scoring.
But UCLA was tough. It was not like they were just getting the wide open. Yeah. It was it's a good team. Mick Cronin's got a good. I between the two coaches though, those programs are in good hands. Juwan Howard, great coach. Michigan's turning into a basketball powerhouse, and with him in his second year,
they are.
They were a number 1 seed. They survived a very tough conference. Elite Eight is not something to ignore. That's a great run.
Oh,
You were a basket away from the Final Four, and I know no one cares about that when you lose, but definitely a lot of promise there. Michigan is definitely turning into one of those powerhouses in basketball, I think, and Mick Cronin's bringing that UCLA brand back. He's bringing them back from the glory days, and they look good. It's a good mixture of different players they got, and the team looks really good overall.
Isn't Chip Kelly also at UCLA?
I think so. A lot of great stuff going on out there.
I don't know about that, but I think. I mean, all their games were like nail biters, weren't they? They were all really close. They fought out, gritty wins.
First 4. They were one of the first 4s.
Yeah. That's even. Didn't they play Michigan State, right?
Michigan State, yeah, and that 68 round.
Which is also weird to see. Michigan State wasn't like officially in the brackets.
Well, yeah. So. I mean, you're not going to really see many more Michigan State or UCLA first 4 matchups ever again. Yeah, those first 4 games are not meant for those schools.
It's been an unprecedented tournament. So we have a 1, another 1, a 2, and an 11th seed. Mm-hmm. Not as I mean, it was almost a full. If Michigan would have won, then would have been pretty predicted. 3 1s and a 2, but
listen. I mean, there was a lot of upsets in the beginning, but they just some of them made it to the Sweet 16, but you really didn't see many Cinderellas. I mean, UCLA of course is, but even outside that,
who did they play the round before? Was it Loyola?
Ooh, UCLA.
Yeah.
Alabama. They knocked out the 2 seed.
Who did Loyola lose to?
Who did Houston just beat? Arkansas, I think.
Oh,
Arkansas.
Okay.
Yeah, and Arkansas was a 3 seed, so.
Because Loyola won. They were in the Final Four, and they were like a 8 or 7 seed a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So.
We'll see. It's been a very good tournament so far. I've been entertained. I've missed it. Seeing it back after not getting it last year, it's brought all the love of the March Madness back for me. I missed it dearly, and it's like I never missed a beat. So it was great to have back. It's been a great tournament so far, and I hope it gets better.
Yeah, I mean, so Saturday we have Final Four, so those 2 games, and then
Championship Monday.
Yeah. So we'll see who's there. That'll be exciting. But any final thoughts on that, or ready to move on to our NFL talks?
I mean, the 6-pack that you buy me because Gonzaga's awesome and you didn't want to believe me, I just want it cold and delicious. That's all I asked.
All right, so a warm pack of Yingling for you.
Sounds delicious.
Okay. Moving on. So we had a busy week of trades.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny because I got a text from my friend while I was doing laundry, believe it or not.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I was.
It was that time of the month?
I'm a laundry man here and there,
Oh, yeah.
To keep my shirts clean.
Oh, that's good.
So I saw the text come up on my Apple Watch, and it was like, he's like, oh, the 49ers just trade out for 3, and I was like, knowing that we run the podcast, so I was like, great, now I should make a post for this. I let people know we're going to talk about it. And then I just went on Twitter to look at what Adam Schefter was saying, and I left my phone out on the dryer, and I had to run upstairs and grab more clothes, and I came back down and I refreshed it, and I saw Eagles trade with Miami. I was like, hold on, what the fuck is going on? Like,
moving and grooving.
So So for the Eagles part,
First thought. What was your first thought?
So yeah, I did briefly record and put that out there, but first thought was why. I was angry. I was like, what are they doing?
Fair enough.
Number 6, we had, Penny Sewell was a possibility. Jamar Chase was a possibility. Kyle Pitts was a possibility. And now you just blew that shit out the water and moved all of that until I was furious. And then I thought about it. And you actually made a really good point.
I was
shocked.
I usually do.
I was like, Tim said something smart.
I usually do.
You said, I would rather have, a Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle and a first round next year instead of Jamar Chase at 6. And I was like, you know what? That's a great way to look at it. And as this week has kind of progressed, and then now that we're into the next week, I've been seeing a lot of mock drafts where Kyle Pitts is still at 12.
Well, I don't know about that.
So if you think about it this way, you're going to have probably 5 quarterbacks taken top 12. So that leaves like what?
Sure. I'd feel more comfortable saying 4, but I can live with that.
I would say 95% there's going to be 4 taken.
Okay.
So let's go with 4.
Yeah.
All right. The Eagles pick a 12.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 8 elite players that aren't quarterbacks. So you're basically picking 8th.
Well, yeah.
Kyle Pitts was probably going to be there at 6. And the teams that go, ahead of the Eagles don't necessarily need tight ends. And the problem with Pitts is that while he's an exceptional athlete who can play fucking big, X receiver, who can play tight end, probably can play running back.
Probably.
Not every team's going to be able to use him correctly in their scheme.
It's true.
So you don't want to waste a high pick on someone you won't use properly. Not saying the Eagles will use him properly, but if they're going to employ another 2 tight end system with Goddard, Goddard will probably go 50-50 pass catching tight end, 50-50 blocking. I think Kyle Pitts could still be there at 12 based on what I'm hearing. So I'd be ecstatic. That'd be a fucking – you basically get a first round pick.
Move back, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nuts. But if he's not there, I still think between I don't think Jamar Chase is going outside top 6.
I agree.
But I think Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle one of them will be there, I think, at 12.
I agree with you there. Pitts, I think, will be a long shot. Plus,
we just got to look at the teams there.
Yeah,
possible.
Someone.
I don't want to get my hopes too high.
Some offense coordinator there will be, because you know what? You know what's going to get him drafted high is Darren Waller. Someone's going to look at Darren Waller and say, you know what? We got Darren Waller in the draft.
Knowing the Eagles' luck, he'll be there at 10, and some team will be like, why is he still there? Let me trade up and get him real quick.
I would not be surprised. I would. So my first reaction, I love the trade. But I also understood why you were upset about it first, and most people I think were upset about it.
Yeah.
I look at it as my expectations for next year with the Eagles are not very high at all. I just think they're going to struggle. I don't think they'll be a very good team.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be very similar to what we saw this year. This trade is more for the long term than it is short term. Obviously, the 6th overall player improves your team a lot more than the 12th overall player and the first round pick next year.
Right.
You just assume that the 6th overall guy is going to be a plug and play, very good impact rookie right away.
Mm.
This team doesn't need that. They need multiple picks. I'm not going to bore everyone with all the disastrous draft picks the Eagles have made in the last 5 years, but giving them more picks is better. Howie's still making the picks, so God only knows who the hell he's going to pick. Get him as many first round picks as possible. He'll eventually hit on a few of them.
Yeah.
You're looking at 3 potential first-round picks next year. You could really build out your roster a lot with those 3. You need building blocks. Look at what you have. No young building blocks on this team. The most important franchise, cornerstones of your team right now, are all old veterans. Who's going to replace Graham? Who's going to replace Kelsey and Lane Johnson? These guys don't have many years left. Zach Ertz, we're expecting to probably get moved still this offseason. There's a lot of guys that are probably going to be moved. If not this offseason, next year at some point. And this is still a 4-win team that's going to be playing with a second-year unproven quarterback who didn't do anything in free agency. We brought in no one. We didn't improve this roster that got 4 wins for them last year. So accept it. I know everyone's like, oh, but we're in the 6th. We're not be drafting there very often. I'd be surprised if we weren't drafting in the top 10 again next year. Obviously I'm rooting for Jalen. Yeah. I want the team to do well, but I would not be surprised if we were in the top 10 again next year.
I don't know. I think the Eagles are talented enough to figure it out. I don't know about win the division. I think Washington's a sleeper. If they can figure out their quarterbacks, like who's going to be quarterback, they have talent. Like Gibson's really good, McLaurin's really good, and now they have Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, I mean, you
Logan's a
got
serviceable
pieces there.
talent. Like their defense is nasty. Like
Ryan Fitzpatrick is the definition of 8-8, though.
yeah,
Maybe 9-7 if he has a good year, but that's what you're getting from Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm not too worried about them. I mean, the division is definitely something I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles could win. Maybe they catch some out. Maybe Jalen plays really well, and maybe that would be the dream. Jalen plays well, your team does okay, and then you got 3 first-round picks hopefully next year, and build the roster around a young quarterback on a rookie contract.
it's true.
So we'll have cap money next year. Next year could be next offseason could be a real change the team kind of year. You're looking at 3 first-round picks potentially and some cap room, which we haven't had in years. You could actually sign free agents, like big name free agents. So listen, it's a long-term deal. I understand why people are upset and worried and annoyed that we had a superstar at 6 and traded down, but this wasn't like last year where I think everyone was begging for the top 3 between Ruggs, Judy, and CeeDee Lamb to fall to you.
Yeah.
And, you were asking the top 3 to go to 21. You have 4 top-notch pass catchers that you need one of them to be at 12. And I think that's very realistic. And if you get Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts at 12, and you get a first-round pick next year, successful draft.
Yeah. It's just a matter of I just hope it's not another receiver that we didn't hear of with Rager.
But, well, yeah. I mean, 12 is also 12 is still high enough that you should be able to draft really. I mean, the last player we drafted at 12 was Fletcher Cox.
Yeah.
And this is the highest draft pick the Eagles have had since Carson Wentz, even at 12. It's still high territory, or it's still pretty low for them to be drafting this high.
Yeah, I mean, I knew the Eagles trade up for 2, but I didn't realize that the Rams also trade up for 1 that year.
Yep.
So that was pretty nuts. And then speaking on the Niners now have number 3. And so what that trade went down was San Fran got number 3, and then in return the Dolphins got the number 12 pick, a 3rd, and then a future first.
Yeah, 2 firsts.
Yeah, 2 firsts. I mean, and then excuse me, and then they traded that 12 to the Eagles for 6. Eagles got a first next year, and I think they gave them their 4th and got a 3rd, was it, or their 5th and got a 4th?
I think it was the 4th and the 5th. I think we have 5th and moved up to 4th.
Yeah.
I'll say between the trade, obviously we're extremely biased towards the Eagles, but I already mentioned I like the trade for the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
Miami, the trade makes so much sense. They weren't going to draft a quarterback.
Have you seen what they've done with the Larry Tunsil?
It's great.
They've gotten 4 first-round picks out of
it's incredible.
trading him.
They knew. I mean, and I don't blame them. I know Tua didn't look great as a rookie, but that's not a good move to draft another quarterback in the top 3. I know you heard the chatter and everything, but that's just not a smart football decision. You got to ride with Tua and give him a chance.
Yeah.
So for the Dolphins, it made so much sense. And then I even think moving up to 6 made sense for them. They had the draft capital. They have all these extra picks.
Mm-hmm.
Why not go up and get a stud? At 6, you can get Jamar Chase, Sewell, Pitts, whoever you want. Put around Tua. The Niners are the one team I don't really understand in this trade. You're moving up to 3. You gave up 3 first-round picks to go up to 3. You'll be drafting the 3rd best quarterback. Yeah. You already know Lawrence is gone, and at this point we all pretty much expect the Jets to take Zach Wilson. I understand that they'll have a quarterback on a rookie contract, but you couldn't tell me that you couldn't package that, maybe less than that, to go get Sam Darnold on a team that team's ready to go for the Super Bowl.
Oh, once the problem with the Niners last year was and the Garoppolo was in and out of the lineup with injuries, and he was inconsistent. And then their defense was decimated with injuries. Yeah. So if they're fully healthy defense, they're going to be a top 5, top 10.
Do you not remember when the Niners, Jimmy G got hurt the first year he was there, and they sucked, and then they drafted Nick Bosa 2nd overall, and they came back and went right to the Super Bowl.
Oh, they got to the Super Bowl because of their defense, and they had a really nice run game.
This team is loaded. Kyle Shanahan's a very smart coach. This team is incredibly strong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that they're going to tie it all to a rookie. This roster's ready to win now, and you want to go and put the rookie there. I know they don't want to move on from Jimmy, but Jimmy's gone either this year or next year.
I think 2 things are going to happen. Either Jimmy's still on that team when the season starts and they draft a quarterback, but at some point, like we saw with Tua, the rookie will take over week 6, 7, 8, or which I think could be a possibility depending on the circumstances. Similar to how the Eagles had Bradford, and then the Vikings lost their quarterback to injury. Teddy Bridgewater traded for Sam Bradford, and Carson Wentz became the starter. I could see that kind of scenario where either a team loses their quarterback or needs a quarterback, and they're like, you know what? Here's a they get desperate. Here's a second round or third round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah,
Right before the season starts, and then whoever Mac Jones or
you're banking on an injury though. That's
I
good
mean,
for that trade.
yeah.
I mean,
I'm just
listen.
saying that I could see it happen.
Yeah, no, I think that's how they're going to play it, and it's a quarterback league, and I think other moves made more sense. Like I think the Darnold to the Niners made a lot of sense. I don't think he would have taken that much to get. Maybe a first, maybe not. I think you can get him without a first. You can tell me that giving up 3 first-round picks to get Mac Jones or Justin Fields is going to help your team win now better than maybe giving up a first and going get Darnold.
Yeah.
I have a lot of faith in Kyle Shanahan.
He
took Jimmy G to the Super Bowl. You can't tell me he's going to do the same exact thing with Sam Darnold. Rookie quarterback's unproven. I know you get the contract benefits, and they got a lot of players locked up, and they got a couple more they got to extend. But I just looking at this roster, it's win now. They're ready to go to the Super Bowl, and I'm surprised that they're going to tie it to a rookie quarterback. Which they're going to make the gamble, and no one knows who they're going to pick. It won't be Lawrence, and it's not going to be Will Wilson, from what it sounds like.
No,
it's just whoever they like, and I don't know. It just seemed weird for that team in particular to give up so much to go up there to go get a guy.
Well, that's also the thing. Like they did that, and then they immediately were like, "Yeah, but Jimmy G's our guys." Like, don't. That's smoke.
Yeah.
Like they.
I think they came out today and said that they're drafting a quarterback.
And then today they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna take quarterback." It was like, obviously, you don't trade up for 3 and like without that mindset, right? Because that's the thing. I think this draft's gonna unfold where quarterbacks are gonna be, teams are gonna want to move up, and they're gonna be like, you know what, I don't want this. I don't want to miss out on this player. And that's what's going to be with, like, how when the Bears took Trubisky, they wanted to gamble on it. Obviously, the gamble didn't work, but they were like, we want to try and get to this guy before anybody else does and take him. So,
I mean,
it's such a hard play for because I still really don't like this quarterback class. I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence will be a stud, but then, I hope Fields does well. I don't know. I think he's 50-50. I don't like Mac Jones as a prospect, really. Trey Lance is also 50-50.
He's iffy. Yeah, he only played 1 game this year. It's in what I'm saying, lower level competition.
Yeah, and then I forget the other.
But really, like trading 3 first-round picks for the 3rd best quarterback in the draft, like that just as a sentence seems just off. Like you're giving so much up to the 3rd best quarterback in the draft.
It's starting to feel like teams feel pressured to turn around. Like you used to see, like for example, like if the Eagles were truly like going through a rebuild right now, 10, 15 years ago, this would have taken like 5 years for them to fully rebuild a team.
Yeah.
Nowadays, like you have like a year to like have, you can go ahead and have another you have 1 shitty year left, and then you got to turn around or you're going to get fired.
With the quarterbacks now on their contracts, you got to do it before their big extension comes because you're not keeping that team. And
absolutely.
And that one, and I get that one aspect for the Niners is, Jimmy G had a big contract. You are getting out of that contract, assuming you move on from it, and then you got to go on a rookie deal.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, you got to look at this team. Is the rookie quarterback going to help them win right now? We'll see. We'll see.
Just quick thoughts. What do you think happens with that number 2 pick and Sam Darnold still going to be on the Jets?
I'm going to believe the hype that Wilson's going to go to the Jets.
Zach Wilson. I think I might like Wilson as a prospect more than Fields, but they're both, I think, like.
Well, I think it's
it would be Lawrence, him, and Fields, and then Lance, and then even further down is.
For the Jets, you got to look at Darnold's going to come off for an extension soon. He's going to be this team did not draft him. It's a new front office, new coach, and all that. Do they want to just bring in their own guy, build around him if they really like Wilson? And I've heard a lot of good things about Wilson. Darnold hasn't really done a ton to believe that you should give him like this big deal or extend him right away. He's also had a terrible situation. I do think he's better than what he's been so far.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me. They'll be perfectly fine with the salary cap. You got a young quarterback to build around. They're building pieces around this team. I think it would make sense for the Jets to go with Wilson. So I do think it's going to be Lawrence, Wilson, and then the Niners honestly have no idea. I'm hearing the rumbles about Mac Jones. I personally think that Justin Fields is the 3rd best quarterback in this draft, but I don't know. I don't know who they're going for. I don't know who they liked. It'll be tough to say.
I would not. I heard that the Niners wanted to go to 3 for Zach Wilson, and I also heard the Eagles were trying to get to 3 for Zach Wilson.
Which I believe. And the Eagles knew that Zach Wilson wasn't going to be there, and the Niners didn't. You know, they have to like someone else. Someone else has to be there. There's no way that they just put all their eggs in one basket in Zach Wilson and he gets traded before them. Like, there has to be another guy they really like. I just don't know who that is yet.
I don't know. There could be a surprise quarterback that just comes out of nowhere in the first round, but
we'll see. Oh, that's the other thing. I mean, I'm hearing the Mac Jones rumors, and
if Mac Jones is really going to go top 10, which would make it 5 quarterbacks, then I would suspect maybe the Patriots or another team is going to try and trade into the top 10.
Probably, yeah. But
which will be good for the Eagles.
Did you not think that Mac Jones would be there at 12 before they traded up? Like, I expected him to be there at 12.
I thought Mac Jones could have lasted to like 16, 17.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting. The Niners are an interesting team to watch because, they made the big splash, but we don't know exactly for who.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we've plenty more draft news and coverage still to come. So
get into that fun time, draft time.
Oh, it's about a month away now because it's end of April and then like until like a day or two of May.
Yeah,
so
should be good. But
stuff,
we'll be here for it.
Of course. All right. I think that pretty much wraps up our thoughts on that. I guess go Gonzaga.
There we go. Nah, it's only took you 3 weeks, but now you're on the wagon, baby.
Go Zags. I hate
I don't know. Now they got to play each other. UCLA is my new love. I do love Gonzaga, but UCLA. Tiger Campbell, Tiger with a Y. No, but all right.
All right. Well, we'll end it on that, and look forward to another episode next week. And safe travels, everyone.
Sounds good. Peace.
Peace out.